Chelsea Clinton announced on Twitter Saturday she had given birth to son Aiden. She shared this sweet photo Sunday.
The Clintons have been quite an influential family in the United States, and this has come with a host of attention and expectations from the public. The weight of these expectations has moved on from them to their children and now their grandchildren. Chelsea Clinton's son drew the attention of the media when he was born and has retained it ever since. Today, we got a look at what he has grown into and the expectations that are already flying around. Come with us as we explore this budding story. Chelsea Clinton was born into a life of politics and public service as the only child of Bill and Hillary Clinton. She had been immersed in politics, leadership, and diplomacy from a young age, all experiences that played a monumental role in shaping her global outlook and future aspirations. Having grown up in Little Rock, Arkansas before moving to the White House in 1993, Chelsea was introduced to politics and social activism at an early age. Her parents, who were both highly successful lawyers and public servants in their own right, instilled in her a strong work ethic, as well as a tremendous sense of service. Like most politicians' children, Chelsea used her unique position and turned it into a very successful professional career as an individual. Chelsea's education played a part in shaping her into the professional woman she turned out to be. Having attended Sidwick Friends School in Washington, D.C., she proceeded to study history at Stanford University. Her academic inspiration was driven by her upbringing, particularly exposure to political and historical debates in the family setting. She also continued her education with a master's in international relations from Oxford University and then a master's in public health from Columbia University. Later, she completed a PhD in international relations at Oxford, showing her passion for intellectual pursuit. She was characterized by determination and hard work, keeping the press at bay as far as possible, given the extremely high level of public interest that was part of being the president's daughter. Her schooling was not only about earning degrees, it was about developing a worldview that would balance academics and the realities of the real world. Chelsea herself witnessed her father's impeachment trials during her time at Stanford, which could have left a psychological wound, but instead made her stronger. Rather than grow resentful and bitter about the political and media world, she grew increasingly interested in international affairs and public service. Her Oxford University education also continued to advance her knowledge of international affairs, particularly with her health policy and economic development studies. These fields subsequently determined the foundation for the majority of her life's work in philanthropy and activism. Apart from her academic achievement, Chelsea also developed a profession in public service, philanthropy, and business. Chelsea indeed served as a consultant for McKinsey & Company for a while, which is a well-known global consulting firm. This gave her sharp analytical skills and experience in the corporate world. She had also worked at Avenue Capital Group, a hedge fund firm, which indicates that she was also interested in finance and investment. However, she was more interested in nonprofit and international development, where she was devoting increasingly more of her time. One of Chelsea's most significant contributions has been through her work at the Clinton Foundation, which her parents founded to tackle global issues such as healthcare, climate change, economic development, and childhood obesity. She, as the vice chair of the foundation, assisted in broadening its programs, particularly those aimed at global health and women's empowerment. While in office, the foundation launched the Clinton Health Access Initiative to speed up access to life-saving medicines and healthcare in the developing world. Chelsea has also been vocal on maternal and child health, delivering speeches at seminars on a regular basis and on projects to eliminate preventable diseases, as well as to make healthcare more obtainable to underprivileged groups. Aside from being involved in the Clinton Foundation activities, Chelsea is also busy with public health education and advocacy. The cause has led her to collaborate with programs that assist in enhancing access to quality education in children globally. She has co-authored books like It's Your World, Get Informed, Get Inspired, and Get Going. And she persisted, which encouraged children to become activists and engage in community services. Her writings say a lot about her desire to empower the next generation to act, something that she learned from her parents. Chelsea also dipped her toes in the media field, working as a special correspondent for NBC News between 2011 and 2014. There, she did human interest pieces and social stories and utilized her voice to give voice to the struggle and achievement of common Americans. Despite some critics denouncing her nomination as being nepotistic, she proved to be a diligent and thoughtful journalist who utilized her forum to bring visibility to the issues of education, poverty, and healthcare. This spotlight also gave her added motivation for social justice. Despite the challenges of having two of the world's most influential political leaders as parents, Chelsea has managed to forge her own identity and profession. She has been a strong advocate for women's rights, healthcare reform, and social justice, with regular speeches at international conferences and seminars. Unlike most people with political affiliations who ride on the family name, Chelsea always made herself qualified, attempting to carve her own niche. She illustrates her sense of duty and commitment in her professional dealings with organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where she has been involved in efforts to make the world free of preventable diseases and advancing education. Chelsea has also been rewarded for her work, receiving many awards and honorary degrees for her public service. She has also served on the boards of organizations like the School of American Ballet and IAC, with her influence and power extending far beyond politics and academia. Her global health career has also meant that she comes into contact with global leaders and world experts, and as a result, she is a globally recognized personality. Chelsea Clinton has continued to be persistent, steadfast, and determined to make a difference. Unlike so many others who are politicized at an early age and maneuver around for their own purposes, she has managed to synthesize her scholarship training, business acumen, and service ethic into a career. Chelsea Clinton's personal and public life has been dedicated, consistent, and meaningful. The pinnacle of her life has been marrying Mark Mezvinsky, a banker by occupation, one that has characterized her personal and public life. Her marriage has been full of values and respect and marked by common goals. They met for the first time when they were both teenagers in the 1990s, and both of them belonged to political families, with Mark's parents being Edward Mezvinsky and Marjorie Margulies. Both were politicians and served in Congress. Their relationship evolved over the years, and the couple became engaged in 2009 and shared their well-publicized wedding in 2010. Their wedding in Rhinebeck, New York, was one of high society with friends and family, and public figures on both sides of the divide, from politicians and corporate America to Hollywood. Chelsea's commitment to public activism and volunteer work was something Mark came to admire as he built a successful career in investment banking, and he has been a constant supporter of her endeavors at all times. In the same vein, Chelsea has been Mark's rock throughout the numerous highs and lows of his business life, from ventures into hedge funds to investment houses. Mark and Chelsea share 3 gorgeous children, Charlotte, Aiden, and Jasper, to whom the two are utterly and totally devoted. Their first, Charlotte Clinton Mezvinsky, was born in 2014, making Chelsea and Mark new parents. Her birth was a pivotal event in Chelsea's life, as she would frequently comment on the ways in which her own mother's life shaped hers. Becoming a mother only made her an even more vocal advocate for women's rights, health, and education initiatives, because she now had an even greater personal interest in the welfare of children and mothers. They also welcomed their second, Aiden Clinton Mezvinsky, in 2016, solidifying their life as parents. Chelsea has publicly talked about how beautiful the joy of being a mother is and how much she loves it, naming her children as her greatest inspiration to keep going and fighting for a better world. Their third, Jasper Clinton Mezvinsky, was born in 2019 and rounded them out as a family of 5. Mark and Chelsea have sought to give their 3 little children a normal and stable home, Marriage has, for them, been a labor of joint effort and persistent support. Despite the successes, Mark and Chelsea have faced their own rough moments. Mark's career has been a roller coaster of experience, and he previously co-created a hedge fund, Eaglevale Partners, which later became unsuccessful. This was a difficult time for the couple because the closure of the firm was front-page news in the dailies. That their marriage survived that professional upheaval only strengthened them all the more, and they've had time to grow as individuals and as a couple. And amidst their busy lives, Chelsea and Mark never sacrificed the family bond. Chelsea and Mark consciously make an effort to be stable in their children's lives. Whether school events, family excursions, or just home quality time together, they have organized a family life based on their values of love, learning, and service. Chelsea has also explained how she appreciates Mark as a father, who is extremely hands-on with the children. Chelsea and Mark have also been able to support one another's extracurricular interests outside of work. Mark has accompanied Chelsea to events for her causes in public health and education, as she remains committed to causes close to her heart. Chelsea, in turn, has accompanied Mark to financial literacy seminars, recognizing the emphasis put on economic education today. Their shared commitment to intellectual development, public service, and family values has remained the foundation of their relationship. One other great aspect of their marriage is that they have led a simple and quiet life, despite their backgrounds. Unlike some of the other political or celebrity couples who happily give the media an inside look at their lives, Chelsea and Mark have chosen a private life, where their kids could grow up without having to suffer through the torture of living constantly in the public eye. This has enabled them to experience a sense of normalcy and security. This is important for Chelsea, who had already experienced a childhood at the White House. That they have remained down to earth even though they've had a privileged existence is a reflection of their good personal values. Chelsea has long indicated that she learned from her parents the importance of hard work, humility, and exercising their influence for the good of all. Mark's parents were similarly politically inclined, but he and Chelsea have been able to make their house one of love, compassion, and shared purpose. Chelsea and Mark lay similar emphasis when it comes to raising their children with a sense of responsibility, a love of learning, and a mission to serve. Chelsea has spoken of the longing to see the world as it comes to her through her children, remembering the value of hope, imagination, and determination. The birth of Jasper Clinton Mizvinsky in 2019 was received with a wave of love and warmth by the public. Though Chelsea's first two children, Charlotte and Aiden, had already won the hearts of the majority of the public, Jasper's birth came unexpectedly. Perhaps it was just because he was the son of the youngest daughter of a woman who devoted her entire life to the public arena. For whatever reason, his arrival was met with a wave of public curiosity and expectation, as the nation waited to see what kind of life this newest Clinton child would have. Ever since Chelsea announced that he had been born, there was an unmistakable sense that Jasper was special. The birth was welcomed throughout the country, not only by the political elite, but by every man and woman in the street who had lived through years with the Clintons. Bill and Hillary Clinton, in welcoming the arrival of a new grandson, openly expressed their jubilation, stating that Jasper was more than a baby, but a promise of continuity in a family. The ex-president and ex-secretary of state had been going on for years about the joys of grandparenthood, and with Jasper's birth, they seemed even more dedicated to the cause, eager to be involved in his life. With the weight that came with the family name, people have been curious about the path that Jasper would follow. Would he follow his mother and his grandfather's path and pursue a political career? Or would he branch out and become a professional in some other non-public service field? These were thoughts that were not voiced but led to a wave of speculations. As Jasper grew, the public interest in him also grew increasingly. Unlike previous generations whose beginnings had been so underpublicized, Jasper was born during an era when the internet and social media offered the tools for the latest news and glimpses of his life. Chelsea, ever dedicated to the privacy of her children's lives, would often provide the public with a glimpse of simple, smiling photographs of Jasper learning to walk, playing with his siblings, or exploring the world as a child. Each triumph was met with well-deserved criticism, as the public could not help but be attracted to his triumph. Being a Clinton came with a strange burden of expectations. Even at such an early age, Jasper was starting to feel the heat of what was to come. His mother had battled this challenge herself, having lived her own adolescence as the nation's first daughter, with her every move scrutinized and interpreted. Chelsea had long spoken about the subtleties of growing up in the world under full public scrutiny, and now Jasper was to be just as involved. The following years solidified Jasper's position in the Clinton-Mezvinsky household, not just a youngest son, but a member of one of America's most known families. This justified the weight of public interest, as the public had been watching him grow up into a young boy. His older brother Aidan and sister Charlotte had their spot in the family pecking order and have gotten a share of these public expectations. Many wondered, would they be brilliant scholars like their mother? Or would they follow their grandfather, Bill Clinton's footsteps, taking after his charisma and leadership genes? Many waited for Jasper to provide clues in his public appearances and engagements with the media, trying to read body language and to psychoanalyze his personality before he was old enough to understand the burden of his heritage. Wherever Chelsea would talk about her children, the name Jasper came up the most because he was the youngest and hardest to pin down. His baby pictures, showing him with pink cheeks, went viral, with everyone happily arguing who he looked like the most, between his parents or grandparents. Some were also asking whether Jasper would be the one to finally carry on the family's political dynasty. By the time he was in school, Jasper was being compared to the other children of influential families, most of all, of course, the political ones. As the Clintons themselves were reaching middle age and the second generation was coming of age, there was a general unofficial expectation that one of the Clinton grandchildren would take on a public life. Many believed Jasper to have leadership qualities, even when he could barely walk. His last name held as much significance as few children his age could ever understand, and one which would burden his life as a child. In spite of such public scrutiny, Chelsea and Mark are determined to provide Jasper with a normal childhood as they could. Chelsea was particularly insistent about providing her children with the kind of stability that she had always longed for as an adolescent while growing up in the White House. She and Mark were cocooned but not completely isolated, walking the tightrope of allowing their children some freedom in life while remaining cocooned from the intrusive press coverage. While Jasper was in school, people wondered as he matured, questioning what sort of man he would turn out to be. Would he take the same political route as his mother and his grandfather? Or would he pursue a career away from the public eye? Or would he go the medical route and avoid the political spotlight? The thing that continues to fuel the speculations is that the future still remains uncertain. Jasper, as he matures, is a bright, curious, and independent young man, highly cognizant of his name, expectations, and family history. Whereas he had spent the first half of his life in blissful ignorance regarding the world with parents looking out for him, he was constantly reminded of what it meant to be a Clinton. And that comes with both pressure and pride, a two-edged sword that most celebrity children must face. Yet in the midst of all of that, Jasper remains his own man, not only defined by the family name which he comes from, but also his own dreams and aspirations. The world continues to look, wait, and speculate about the path that he would take. Whether he steps into public life or decides to pursue other interests, he will carry the burden of history with him and always strive to live up to the name. Let us hear your thoughts in the comments, and we will see you in the next one.